a member, I am a nurse at a local hospital, and I am a spoken word poet, so I have written a poem about nursing. It's called Nurses Vote Yes to the Strike, but I actually started writing it before we even started balloting. I started writing it after conversations with lots of different nursing colleagues over the years, both pre-pandemic and since, and it's a sort of amalgamation of the sadness, the sorrow, the tension between this wonderful profession that you're looking into and the sadness of not being able to actually fulfill what you want to do. So I wanted to put voice to that. I also wanted to explore the way that the media portrays nursing. We're angels, we're superheroes, we can do no wrong, and everyone loves us. But the flip side of that being you can't really leave your post, you can't go on strike, you can't not work overtime, you can't have your break if it means that your patients are left behind. And obviously the exploitation is very well known. The reason I'm titling it Vote Yes to the Strike, even though it's not explicitly about the strike, is it's about, for me, why I voted yes and why I am striking, why I'm going onto the picket lines, is obviously fighting for fair pay is valuable in and of itself, especially with the cost of living crisis, but what I want and what a lot of my colleagues want is the hope that the fight that we're doing will lead to better recruitment, better retention, safer staffing numbers, because that's what's killing us, it's what's killing us really. So, you are not a soldier fighting on the front lines of this war, stepping mournfully over the bodies of fallen comrades. You are not a superhero, or a symbol of national pride to be chewed over by left and right. You are not a squared shoulder, a stiff upper lip, a steady hand. You are not an angel, warm and serene. If you were, they would have pinned back your wings with a day's worth of red tape. They would have told you that feathers are too hard to disinfect. You are not the resentment in your colleagues' eyes when you say you can't help right now. You are not the fear in your students' hands as they dispense drugs into a cup painfully slowly. You are not the list of tasks flickering behind your eyelids each night, the cup of tea you forgot to fetch, the conversation you didn't know how to have, the hand you didn't have time to hold. You are not the man who punched you because the sedation triggered his PTSD. You are not the woman who spat in your face because she was trying to die and you weren't letting her. You are not the judgments piled on you for your age, your sex, your gender, the color of your skin. You are not the abuse that was hurled at you or the way that you froze. You are not the weight of the mistakes you have made or the mistakes you fear you will make. You are not the harm you caused when you weren't paying enough attention, or the misunderstanding that led to a near miss, or the days where you seemed to be all fingers and thumbs. You are not an abacus balancing out the lives you've lost against the lives you've saved. You are not a police officer, or a policymaker, or a politician. It is not for you to have all of the answers. You are not the cold pragmatism of the decision makers, hemmed in by unthinkable choices. You are not the sniping between teams, the unscalable hierarchies, the fences around different colors of uniform. You are not the dressing to be placed over the wound of austerity, or a saline drip of trickle-down economics, or a breath of fresh air into our hungry lungs. You are not the threadbare roasters or the soaring absence rates. You are not a worker horse who can pull the cart along. You cannot be boiled down into the glue that will hold this war together. You are not the grief you feel for how this job has changed, how it used to be a calling, but now it's just something you do because you don't know where else you would go. The pain of coming home shift after shift, knowing you haven't delivered the level of care you wanted to. How you trained for years with gladness and passion in your heart, but now you daydream about winning the lottery or going off on long-term sick or having a baby. Anything to mean you don't have to keep doing this. There is no easy way to wrap this up, no tidy conclusion. This is not a box of chocolates, or a thank you card, or a commemorative badge, or a family clapping from their doorway each week. You are the sum of all of these things, and a bit more, and a bit less. You are a small, soft thing, and your heart has been pouring out, and you are weary.